when I share my screen.
What is a lab?
Let me share my desktop. Okay, there we go.
Cool.
That's pretty cool. All right, everyone. So yesterday what we were doing is we were working on this node backend, right? Where we were just setting up some data for our front end. And when we left off, we had these two routes. We had a route where we could create a city, and then we also had a route where we can get all of our cities. So today we're going to add some more routes. The next route I think that probably makes the most sense is to add a route where we can get a specific city, right? So let's go into our controllers file here, and I'm going to add an additional method here. So we'll call it get1. I'm going to take in the request and the response, right? All right. And now I'm expecting to get some kind of an ID. Do you guys remember where that's going to come from? Because I need to know which city I'm trying to get. From the schema? No, not the schema. It's gonna have to come from one of these guys, right? Rec and res. Those are the things that I have access to. Right now.
It's like a body.
Yeah, so rec, again, is just all this information about the request itself. It's like a props. I've been hearing that a little bit. It's like people are thinking props. Yeah, but now we're not in React land, right? We're all backend. So this is just a parameter for the function, right? So I know I'm going to have access to the request, and if I want to see what ID is coming in, I could say something like city ID equals rec.params.id. Okay. So again, we have this request.params object, which has all the different parameters that we have in our route established. And if we go back to our routes file here, our path is going to have a colon ID inside of it, right? Okay. So in here, let's use this city ID, and we'll say city.findById. Okay? This is an actual method that Mongoose gives us to find a specific item. So I'm going to pass in this city ID. Okay. Why?
Because Nick got up and then he turned his light on and then he just like slid in.
Oh yeah, he's a sly fellow, that Nick.
He like slid down like this.
Yep. So so now what do you guys think this is going to return?
A promise.
Oh! You almost got tricked. You almost got tricked. Good job. Nice catch. All right, so let's respond. We will say we will get back a city, and then we will say res.json with that city, right? Maybe we could have a .catch if we wanted. So .catch here. If there is some sort of error, then I would say res.json error. Okay, let me make sure we're still running here. I think we were, yeah. So it's still saving all the changes that I make. Now the good thing is at this point, since we're actually persisting things in the database, we don't have to worry about every time I restart, I'm going to lose whatever city I put in there, right? It should still be there. So if I go back to my Postman here, this is what we had inside of our cities. We just have Burbank right now. I'm just going to grab this ID. So I'm going to copy this. And then let's make sure that we have a route for this. So if I go back to cities.routes.js, I'm going to say app.get. And we'll say /API/cities. And then do you guys know what I'm going to put here? A colon ID, right? So this is a routing parameter now. And then that's going to be available where? That ID right there. the rec.params object, right? It'll be part of it. Cool. And what I want to do is we'll say cities ctl dot get one, I think is what I called it. Okay, so let's save that, and it should have reloaded for me. So let's open up Postman here, and let's make a request. Local host 4000 API / cities, and I'll pass in that ID right there. Shoot, how do I get to my... Couldn't seem to get to it there. Yeah, exactly. Okay, there we go. I guess I'll just kind of keep this over to the side. So you guys can see that we were able to get our specific city object, right? So that's working. Questions about this? I'll go back to the controller real quick. So again, just to recap, we're pulling the ID from this rec.params object, which has all of our routing parameters. And that was coming from our routes. So if I called this something else, if I called it city ID, I would have to make a change, right? So if I go like this, city ID here, then I also need to go into my controller and make that change, city ID. And if I want to get super fancy, I could destructure it, right? Oops. Oh, what did I do? Sorry. Like this. So meaning that I'm just pulling out the city ID from this params object. Okay. Are we good about get one? Does that seem pretty reasonable? And this method's coming from where? Did we write that? Find by ID? No. Where did we get that from? Mongoose. Mongo, again, is just our database. Mongoose is the library that's allowing us to connect to. All right. Good deal. What else are we probably going to want to do? We've got our kind of our basic CRUD app where we can do some typical things. So we can create, we can get all of them, we can get one by ID. What else do we want to do? Update. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. So let's create an update method. Rec and res here. Okay. So same thing here. I'm probably just going to pull the ID out of the rec.params, right? So I'll copy this code right here. And then down here, we're going to do a different method that we haven't seen just yet. We're going to say city.findByID and update. Okay. So what do you guys think the first thing that I need to pass this would be? The ID, right? Because it's find by ID. So let's pass in city ID. Okay. The second thing is, what do I want this update to look like? Okay. So probably I could pass in the entire rec.body if I want, right? For now. We'll see that there might be a small limitation to that, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. And then there's a third optional argument where you can provide some things here. So if I say new true, what that means is that when this thing is done, when it resolves, I'll get back the actual modified document. I won't get the old one. By default, it will give you back the old one for some strange reason. Okay. And there's also another option that you'll probably want to pass here, which is run validators. We're going to set that to true. So we still want to run validations even if we're just updating something. Okay. All right. That's probably about all we need. What's that going to return? Everyone. There's only one person. Promise. Okay. So I got a chain of call to dot then. Okay, we're gonna get back the new modified city, right? And then I will say res.json city. Okay, we'll probably want a dot catch in this case because there could be an error. For instance, if we fail our validation, right? So error res.json error. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I need to wire that up in my routes as well, right? So I'll go back to my routes file here, and I'm gonna create an app.put request. We talked about we'll be using put requests when we're gonna update, right? The path will be API/cities, and then again, it would be, we're gonna say city ID because that's what I called it in there. Cities CTL dot update. Okay, cool. So let's try to update one of these cities. I'll go to Burbank, and we've got this ID right here. So I'm just going to grab the same URL. I'll create a new tab over here where we can make a put request. Put request to this URL. And then my body, again, you're going to select raw and JSON in there. Okay. So let's say we just wanted to change the population, for instance. And say population is now 100,000. Magically, it went down. I don't know. Just overnight, you know, people were scared about Corona, so they all bailed out. All right, so let's send that request, and you guys can see that indeed the population has decreased. You should see that the updated ad has updated as well. Now it's the 13th, which is today, so that's working as expected. But it seems a little weird, though, that I was able to just submit population, right? You'd kind of expect, wait, why aren't validations running on that? Well, they are, but the validations only run when you explicitly put those keys in. So because I was just passing in rec.body, my rec.body only has this key value pair inside of it. Okay? So that's a little bit of a gotcha here. There's a way that we can rectify that. If we were to come here, if we want to make sure that really they can't modify this document unless they provide all the required fields, instead of just passing in rec.body, I could be a little bit more explicit. So I could say name is rec.body.name, population, rec.body.population. And what this is doing is this is ensuring that we have those keys in that object, right? And then image URL, rec.body.image URL. Okay. So let's save that, and then let's try to make this update one more time, and let's see if we fail our validations. Let me pull this up. Yeah, so indeed, you see how we're actually validating now, saying that we didn't include a name, so validation failed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I was doing is I was being a little bit more explicit about it. And by the way, what is the value of this rec.body.name? Does anybody know? In terms of the request that I just sent. It's undefined. Undefined. Yeah, and then the same thing goes with image URL too, right?
Is there any
Well, if we destructure rec.body, it may not have those keys in it, right? So, I mean, this construction that we're doing, we're building up an object right here, is ensuring that those keys actually exist, which is going to force the validation. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt, but really this would only really come into play on an update. On a create, it will enforce validation because there is no name currently in there and there is no image URL. The reason it was kind of letting us slide is because we already had values in the database for those things. Yeah. And really, this is kind of just an extra check anyway, because when I'm looking at your exams to make sure that validations were applying, I'm not going to run requests through Postman to check. The requests will be coming through your React application, which will most certainly be supplying a name and an image URL and so forth. So if those things are blank, it should validate anyway. It's not like this is going to be a problem for you. All right, any questions about update? Okay. So let's create one more city, and then we'll use this as the one that we will delete. So I'll go back to my post request here. What city do we want to drop in here? Glendale, all right. Good one. No, it's not a good one. What's the population of Glendale? Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Wow, 203,000? No kidding. I wouldn't have guessed it was that high. Okay, so we'll say 203. 203. And then we got a good picture in here, right? Let's see if I can get this thing right. So we need to say copy image address, right? Okay, let's try that. Oops. Cool, that looks pretty good. Let's create it. Glendale has been created, and we now have this ID right here. So this is what we'll use once we build our little delete method, okay? So we'll go back in here, and let's create one more. So we'll say delete, and then our delete, again, request and response. I'm going to use a new function that we haven't used yet. So we'll say find by ID and delete. Okay, what do I want to pass in? The ID. Where am I going to get that from? Not rec.body. Rec.params. Good. It's going to come from the route. Exactly. So we'll say rec.params, and I'll say .city ID. Okay, returning what? Only Rose got it that time. All right, returns a promise, so I have to chain a .then to it, right? And here I'll just say, I don't really care what it's returning. All I want to say is res.json status success. Oops. I don't know. .catch, do we want to do that? Yeah, maybe we do. Maybe if we provide a bad ID, it would actually error out. So we can test that too. Okay, so let's save that, and then let's add that to our routes. So this time we're going to make what kind of request? A delete request. So that's the HTTP verb we want to use. Delete, and I'll do /API/cities/city ID. Okay, cities ctl.delete. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's dump Glendale. 203,000, I still can't believe that. All right, get this ID here. I'll create a new request to delete. Localhost 4,000 API / cities, and then I'll drop in that ID there. Okay, we got back our status of success. Let's make sure if we make a GET request to get all of our cities that it's not in there. There's our list. And again, Glendale is gone. Bye-bye, Glendale. Been nice knowing you. All right. Yeah, you're off the map. Finito. All right, so that's it. Those are really all the routes that we're typically going to be using, right? We're going to have a couple routes to read, either all of them or just a single one. Then we're going to have update, create, and delete. CRUD, full CRUD right there.
Running a filter and then
A filter and then deleting. Well, okay. How would we do that? So inside of our controller, if we wanted to do like delete by a certain thing.
yeah.
So let's just say we wanted, I don't know, let's call this special for Albert. All right, so special for Albert, we'll take in a request and a response. What do we want to do? City.find and delete, or find one and delete. What do we want to do? Yeah, you want to find a bunch and delete. So let's see. Delete many. That looks like what we want, right? Okay. And then here we should be able to specify what is it the conditions that we're filtering by. So I could say population greater than 200,000. Oops. Okay, returning what? A promise. So what is this going to return? Seems to be saying that it's going to return a deleted count of some sort. It's going to return an object that has some information about what we deleted. So I'll just call this response right now, and then we'll send that back. So we'll say res.json response.
That population exactly 200,000?
Yeah, actually that's not what I wanted to do. I think what I wanted to say was greater than 200,000, right? Yeah, good catch there.
Oh, this is to like so for example, cities that have.
Right, exactly. So if we want to get rid of every city that has a population greater than 200,000.
Yeah. Oh, that's the same as like the show.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that should look familiar. So let's go back to our routes here. Let's add this. So we'll say app.delete /API/cities/Albert. And then he gets special treatment. So special for Albert. All right, cool. And let's give this a try. Let's see. So right now we're expecting this to return like a deleted count of 0, right? Because we don't actually have any in there.
Oh, we deleted.
We deleted Glendale, which had 203,000. Yeah. So if I create a delete request, localhost 1000 API cities Albert. Let's see what happens here. Nothing. Looks to me like we got an error. What was the problem? Cast to object ID failed for value Albert at path ID. Oh, this is a good error to come across. I'm glad we encountered this. Which one of our routes do you think triggered right now? This is a good one. This one. It's trying to convert Albert into an actual city ID.
Is it like finding it by name or whatever?
They think
Because
It's
this is a wild card. So because this route occurred before this one, and actually it triggered this guy.
Okay.
So the way that I can fix this is I can simply move Albert up. Okay. Yeah, let's move him up in the mix. There we go. Albert's up. And two, a quick caveat for anybody who's watching this video, you guys won't need to know this. This is just kind of like some extra information. Okay, so let's try to make this again. There we go. So it's telling us there was a deleted count of 0 because we didn't have any in there. And then if I were to re-add Glendale, let's do that. Add it twice. Okay, and then slight variation. And then we'll just make, okay, fine. I don't think we need any variation, right? We could just simply add it again. Yeah. No worries. Okay, let's get our array. We should have 3 things, right? We've got Glendale twice. And now let's do Albert's delete. We deleted 2. Working as expected. Cool. All right, so let's talk about our code a little bit. Looks like everything is solid here. Let me close this out. Okay, let's go into the city's controller. Where do we start? Get 1. All right, Nick. You're up, man. Lines 17 to 23. I can't hear you. Do you have your mic on right now?
I think you have to unmute it.
Oh, on here?
Yeah, you see the blue button, unmute.
Oh, shoot. Okay, okay. Wait, I keep clicking it, but he's not unmuting. Unmute audio. What?
You have to mute yourself. Where's people? Really? So there's like more, and then there's like 2.
No, it's just 2 parts. It's us and him.
Oh no, I mean the orange. I thought it was like.
Oh, that's him chatting, I think. So in the chat, he was probably my mic. Oh.
Oh, he has to chat with us
How
about
convenient.
it.
Oh man, I don't know if I believe that, dude. Are you guys buying this?
Look at him, his smile. He's like, yeah.
He doesn't look like he'd have a broken mic, does he? Oh boy, that is convenient.
Sure, it doesn't make sure.
All right, I guess you're off the hook.
He can chat with us.
Yeah, he's like he's taking us through it in the chat. All right, well let's just go around the room then. Aya, go ahead and give me get 1. Right. Good. Excellent. Method. Very good. Good. So it's going to pass our callback function, the city, right? That individual. And then what are we doing with it? Yeah, so res.json, that means we're sending back a JSON response, which consists of that city, right? Okay. Cool. Very good. And again, so our dot then is when the promise resolves, right? And our dot catch is when what happens? If an error gets triggered, right? It rejects. Okay. Cool. So in the event of an error, what are we doing? Okay. Good. So our JSON response, as you can see, is this object, and inside of it, we've created a key called error, which is the value is the actual error that was generated. Okay, excellent. Let's just go around the room. Francis, you get the big one. Sorry.
Just this one.
Just update, yeah.
Okay, so here we have the update function takes in a request and a response, and inside that, again, we're destructuring the params. And just taking in the city ID,
Right.
and then below that we have taken the city and
Well, that, we're not really taking in the
well,
city, remember?
yeah.
So this is the city model.
right, the
Okay,
city mod.
cool.
And then in there we do this function.
Yes, we're calling a method, right?
Find by ID and update, and we are passing in the city ID.
Yes. So these are our arguments, right? So we passed in the city ID. What else are we passing in?
Then the rec.body.
So the second thing is actually a new object that we created, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That has the name of the URL that take from the rec.body.
From the rec.body.
And then under that we have these two, again, I'm not sure how to call them, but like parameters or something like that, like a new object that has.
It is a new object, exactly. Good.
And first one was the I'm not sure what the new.
So the new true is just saying when this thing resolves, give me back the new updated document. Don't give me the old one, which is what it would do by default for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one is validators.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that validations are still in play for our updates, right? Good.
Yeah. And then after that, if it resolves, it then turns into promise.
Okay.
Of the JSON response. So with the city that was generated.
Yeah, so that's us creating the JSON response, right? We're saying res.json, we're invoking the JSON function, and we're passing in the city that we got back from Mongoose. Okay.
And then so that
Right. Yeah, question.
The part that you said that we only were about to communicate the lines 30 to 54.
Yeah.
Like, in what context is it being used right now? Like yeah, just,
well,
I'm having trouble wrapping my head around it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So the context in which we could run into problems is if somebody is making requests directly to our server versus through our front end application.
Oh, I see.
So the way that we're doing it right now, we're just using Postman, which means there's really no form at all, right? We could kind of send whatever we want, which means that I can leave off fields very easily.
So you're saying, is that saying?
So this is kind of saying, okay, well, even if the person didn't supply me with all these things, I'm gonna make sure that these things get validated.
Okay.
And I think, Francis, you were asking if there was sort of an easier way to do this. Well, we could potentially destructure if we want. I could say const name population image URL, and where would I destructure that from? Rec.body. And then I could basically take all of this stuff off. This is a shorthand that I've shown some of you. Actually, I think I've shown all of you, but sometimes like what's happening doesn't really make great sense. What's happening is because I have a variable called name already, and the key in this object that I'm creating is called name, I can leave off the colon name.
And it would still do it.
It'll still work. Yeah. So maybe that's a little verbose, slightly. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's get down to the delete. Baxter, take us through that one. Mm-hmm. So city is what again? It's capitalized. It's not a promise yet, right? So let's quickly look at where we got city from. There's your answer, right? It's a model. It's the city model. Okay.
All right, so city model defined by okay.
So rect.params is this object that has some different key values inside of it. At this point, it only has a city ID because that was the only routing param. If we look back at our routes real quick, if we're deleting, we just have that one routing param. Right? Okay, cool. And then what?
We got dot then.
Yeah, why the dot then? What's that for? No destructuring.
So it's a function.
He was afraid to say
You guys
that. He was just like, no, it's probably not there.
You guys are going to be promise masters. I promise. All right. Cool. And then what do we have inside of our dot then call? What did we pass it? Good. So our function, we're saying here that even if we get something in our function, we're not really going to use it at all, right? Okay? And then we're responding with what? Okay? So these little curly braces in here indicate what? What kind of thing is that? It is, exactly. Good. So if we see curly braces, we'll typically know, this is an object. If we see square braces, we'll know it's some kind of an array, right? Albert.
So with that logic in mind on the next line, that dollar sign greater than, if we want to do multiple parameters, are we going to think like after 200,000, is it comma, dollar sign, the next parameter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's inside an object in the dollar sign.
Right. Yeah. And again, I don't want you guys to worry too much about this stuff because this was a bit of an extra. In fact, since I wrote that for you, Albert, let's have you read that one.
So function especially built for me, special. But it's taking and recognized for coming on the city model. Since we really only one, so parameter, which is population key, and inside the key is another key or another object.
Another object, good.
Parameter you want. In this case, is dollar sign G2
greater than.
Value 200,000.
Good.
And returning a promise, which we do with the response is use the JSON function to.
Yeah, we simply returned the response as is, and we turned it into JSON, right? Good. Very good. Nice. Let's go to our routes file here and make sure that we've got a handle on this. Greg, what's happening on this? Give me 6 and 7. Dog's going wild. Okay. So specifically, what's happening over here? When I say app.get, what am I doing? Parentheses indicates this should almost become automatic. Like every time you guys see parentheses, in most cases, something is being what? Called. I'm calling a function, right? I'm calling this get function. And what am I passing to it? No. So the first argument is what? Right, it's the entire path. Okay? And then when I say colon city ID, what am I doing there? This is creating sort of like a changeable thing. It's a placeholder, right? So I can pass in any city ID. I don't know what it's going to be ahead of time, but I know that there will be some city ID. Okay? That way I'll have access to it when I invoke my function. What was the second argument? City. So this is our city's controller, okay? And then that object that we imported had a bunch of different keys inside of it, right? One of which was get1. So this is what our get1 is a callback function. It's a promise. It's either one or the other. All right, cool. So now that we got that one nailed, give me line 7. Line 7 should be pretty easy. Wait, what? On line 7? No, on line 7, I'm not creating a new city, right? I'm invoking what function? App.put, okay? So this is our HTTP verb. This means that inside Postman, I was able to make a put request. Okay? All right, and what do we pass to that? What do we pass to this put function when we called it? Say it again. Yeah, the route, so the path, right? Okay, and then what else? Okay, this is just a callback function. That's all it is, right? We're saying when a person makes a request to this route and it's a put request, go ahead and run that function. Good? All right. Hutan, you get 8 and 9, and then we're done. Yes. Because remember, he wanted he wanted something that was gonna delete multiple documents. All right. Yeah, that was a cool little function. It was fun to experiment with that, right? All right. Line 9. Okay. Are we deleting one city or many cities here? One city, right. And where am I getting the ID from? So yeah, because we specified that colon in the path, it will now be available to us in the rec.params object. Okay. All right, good. Any questions? Any questions, Nick? No? Thumbs up? Yeah. I like it. Very good. Cool. Thumbs for the rest of you guys? Up, 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 up. A little shaky for Greg. All right, Greg. Any clarifications before we break? No? Okay, so let's take a quick look at the schedule while Nick is still online with us here. MERN. So it looks like today's end of day goal is product manager part 3. Yeah. So if you guys don't complete it by the end of day, you do have the weekend technically to complete that. All right? Okay, cool. And then we'll be meeting up again in the afternoon to do the front end part, the actual React part. Okay? All right, Nick, I'll shoot you a link for that one too. All right? Good deal, man. Thank you.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'll be there.